If you have ever felt like your entire reality is dissolving or changing and you can't explain it, you're probably going through an awakening. People that you were sat having lunch with 2 weeks ago, who you could speak to for hours on end about meaningless stuff, suddenly those conversations drain you. The programs that you used to watch now do not fulfill you. They don't satisfy the mind in the same way. You find yourself coming across quotes about consciousness and even astrology, and they hit differently. You see them for there's a resonance in your mind. Oh, there's a curiosity peaking about a new way of living. This is your mind going through a spiritual awakening. It can be alarming, it can be disarming, it can be peaceful, it can feel right. Often, the best things that happen to us in life often don't happen when we want them to, right? There is no, just like there's no good time to have a baby, there's no good time to have an awakening. And that's the fun of it. They're not all scary roller coaster rides. Some of them are gradual. Some of them start with, I try meditation for my mental health, and over time I gradually increase my consciousness. Some awakenings can look like trauma, sudden psychic downloads start coming in. Some can look like Kundalini awakening, Shakti flowing through your life and removing anything that is an obstacle to your higher path. The awakening looks different for everybody. What I would like to do in this video is explain from my perception, my experience, what the awakening is and what it isn't. So the awakening for me in its shortest, most simple form, I understand the paradox there, it's a remembering of who you truly are as a multi-dimensional being. And I'd say multi-dimensional as in, yes, we exist on many dimensions, many planes. We are everything, everywhere, all at once. We are everything and nothing. But also the light and the dark side of us, the masculine and the feminine side of us. And as we are here in this reality, I believe the awakening happens so that we remember who we are, we remember why we're here, and we are then able to consciously co-create our reality with Source. So we remember that we are ultimately one with the Creator, and we get to shape our reality. Carl Jung said, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our life and we will call it fate. So the awakening is the process of becoming conscious. It's individuation in Jungian terms. So reclaiming all of our projections, power that we place out there, remembering who we are in truth, using our power to then consciously create our life. And I don't just mean manifest the dream house, the dream car, the dream man. I mean, begin to understand what your purpose is and how you're here to express that. How you're here to express as fully yourself in this human reality. It's a confronting process. It isn't all light language and bliss. It is, we do have to go into darkness. So the awakening is asking you to literally wake up. Wake up, become conscious of your reality, become conscious of the programs, the patterns that you're living. Become conscious of how you want to live. Become conscious of the truth of who you are. And that will take you on many, many levels. And it will help you ascend many levels, but also descend many levels. As above, so below. Another amazing Jung quote is we can only reach, something along the lines of, we can only reach to heaven as far as our roots go down to hell. So as above, so below. We get to experience the light as we experience the darkness. So it's awakening to a new perception of reality. And then you get to play the game of life differently. Awakening in its most simple form. Now, what the awakening isn't is, like, most people now get their news, get their information from social media, from even AI, and it doesn't show the whole picture. So what you might see, I was trained last year as a Kundalini activation facilitator because of my own journey with Kundalini, and I get sent videos all the time saying, what the fuck is this? And it is some man like working with some woman's energy, and she looks like she's having a big O, and it's really weird. And so some people will see that and go, oh, Kundalini awakening, spiritual awakening, I don't want me none of that. And like, so just remember that social media is clickbait. It is what's going to grab your attention the most. So that it's never going to show the whole picture of what an awakening actually truly is. So you're going to see the pretty goddess vibes, and you're going to hear a lot about the divine masculine and the divine feminine, which is amazing. We all have access to that. But it is not just that. It is not just awakening to higher consciousness and suddenly becoming this divine masculine or divine goddess or whatever other identity you want to portray. It's the removal of the identity, not the removal, but the non-attachment with the identity. So you're going to see a lot of egos on spiritual identities on social media. That isn't what the awakening is. You don't have to suddenly start wearing mala beads and like channeling light language. It's not just opening to psychic abilities. It can be all of those things, but at its core, it's asking you to live life as fully human. Some people think, oh, spiritual awakening, I don't have to be human anymore. No, spiritual awakenings actually means that you're going to be more human, and you get to live the game of life consciously rather than unconsciously. So it isn't just the fancy stuff that you see on Instagram. It isn't I have awakened and so now I am a healer. No, that's just another identity. Yes, I know a lot of people who going through the awakening process have accessed healing abilities, but first and foremost, this is always for yourself. All of this is so that you can work on yourself first, and then you get to go out and help the world. Because whenever you're going out and helping the world, how's your own internal being? How's your own inner world? Are you making enough money? Are you making the money that you need to live an amazing life? And is your own cup full enough for you to give from that? How are your relationships? How are your friendships? How do you feel about yourself when you wake up in the morning? Use your awakening to work on yourself first, and then you're able to give back. It doesn't give us any level of superiority. We're no better than anybody else just because we're living a life where we might have access to healing abilities, we might have access to psychic abilities, we might be able to manifest whatever we want just like that. That doesn't make us better than anybody else. We use it to serve and heal ourselves, and from that place we service the world. And it is a really, really beautiful process. What else is spiritual awakening not? It is not all love and light. This is one of the biggest misconceptions. Spiritual awakening is loving the darkness as much as loving the light. It's actually understanding that we live in a universe of polarity. Without the light, without the darkness, we couldn't even perceive light, and vice versa. The two can't exist separately. So we have to love and accept all of ourselves and find a way of loving and accepting all of the world, so that we can experience wholeness. Like, if we are different aspects of consciousness that have separated from the one source so that the one source can experience itself, ultimately we're all whole. And so we're being asked to see the universe, our world, our reality as a mirror, so that we can reclaim it and experience wholeness. So we can't have light without dark. That's duality. And the soul is seeking to experience wholeness, which is its truth. So that is the awakening, to experience your truth, which is wholeness, but without the darkness. We cannot have the light. So this is when we go a little bit deeper and we go to understand shadow work and what lies in the unconscious mind and making the unconscious conscious. A lot of people, we would like to go to the energy work sessions and bypass whatever comes up in the afterwards. It doesn't work like that. You go to a plant medicine session, plant medicine ceremony, the work doesn't just happen while you're in the ceremony. That's when you begin to make things conscious, and after that comes the integration, when the life starts happening around you and you don't bypass it, you don't go back to your old habits. You say, okay, I'm the conscious co-creator of my reality. How do I want to live this differently? What do I want the outcome to be? How am I going to shape this the best of myself and for the world? And it's an ongoing process like that. It's learning to love and accept yourself on every single level, and knowing that everybody out there is also you. It's a roller coaster. So my own journey, I was in personal development for a while, loved Tony Robbins, been to UPW a few times, big into like motivational stuff. And I'd started meditating, and I'd started delving more into the spiritual, not just astrology. Like, that's another thing. Spirituality is not like astrology, tarot cards. That's an aspect. They're tools, but they're not the thing. And so I was starting to experience more meditation, more stillness, more like really sitting with what I wanted. Things started falling out of my life. I was diagnosed with a rare form of breast cancer. I'm giving the very short version because in previous videos I have spoken about this. I was diagnosed with breast cancer whilst I was on the surgery table. I had a spontaneous kundalini rising, and my life in those 6 months totally changed the trajectory of my life. I was a jewellery designer to the social elite in London, and I realised that actually, no, this isn't my path anymore. So I started going deep into consciousness, into shadow work, into Jungian psychology, into the philosophy of Kundalini and spiritual awakenings, and how we can, and how we're being asked to live life from a higher level of consciousness, because we are evolving to live from the heart, whereas previously we've been living from the ego self, the space of identity and power. Now we're being asked to live from the heart. So I went down these rabbit holes, and and have sat with plant medicines, do sit with plant medicines, work with plant medicines, shadow work, meditation, went on down all of these avenues, and it's not been easy because people have left my life. Relationships that I thought were going to be here forever, no. You kind of understand that there are people come into your life for a chapter, for a lesson, to help you learn something about yourself, and then they may lovingly or unlovingly leave. But everything is asking you to learn something about yourself. Even things in my career now, they don't stick around. I think they're going to be forever, and they don't stick around. I was a meditation teacher for a couple of years. I devoted myself to teaching meditation. I now only teach meditation inside my online program. I don't teach it in person anymore. And I thought I'd be a meditation teacher for the rest of my life. So there is things, when you're learning the lessons, like, you evolve very quickly. You find your path of Dharma very quickly. And if you're on the wrong path, you're going to be redirected very quickly. So you begin to realize it's just constant evolution, constant cycle of death and rebirth. You begin to find peace with it. That is one of the biggest things, is staying grounded in your journey. A big part of that comes from trusting the process. You stay grounded, you trust the process, you find peace in your internal world. that meditation really helps with that. Nature, exercise, looking after, nourishing yourself, and you begin to create equanimity in your life, and you realize that you're just here to learn the lessons. You're here to learn how to create. So those soul desires that you have, you're here, you get to live those. You can actually make those happen. And I get more into that in other videos, and I'll probably do some more on that coming up, like the idea of conscious co-creation. But you realize that that's what this is.
And you just get to know yourself as this magical, multidimensional being. Like, imagine you are a sun. Imagine you're the sun, right? And there are clouds covering the sun, and the clouds are your conditionings. And there are storms that come, and these are lessons and challenges. But all the while, this sun is still shining. So that sun is the truth of who you are. And the weather and the night and day and everything that is happening, but it's not changing the sun. So it's all happening in your experience, but it's not changing the truth of who you are. So you have the truth of who you are and all of this other stuff. And we get to understand this other stuff changes, it evolves, it has less of a hold of us as time goes by. But when we recognize that we are the sun, all of this affects us less. And then this is literally what the awakening is asking you to do. It's just asking you to live your life with a remembrance of who you are. And that is an ongoing process, because you have the ego to deal with, the shadow to deal with, other people to deal with, your projections, your conditionings, your karma. All of these things help shape your experience, but ultimately the point is to remember that you are the sun. And I just want to touch back on trust yourself, trust your own awakening. No two journeys are the same. I'm very fortunate. I have incredible, because when you're on this path, you attract people you attract your tribe. So I have an incredible group of friends, all who have had their own awakening journeys. Some who have been through deep energy healings and have activated psychic abilities. Some who have gone deep, deep, deep into the earth and are so connected to Mother Earth, and they live their awakening from that aspect. Some people are connected to the goddess. Some people are connected to non-duality. All different aspects of the same thing. So everybody's awakening journey is different. I know that my awakening journey is here to help me live from love. And that's a big, big part of why I do what I do, why all of my lessons help me to live from love more. And that's my journey. It might not be everybody's journey. So yeah, trust your own journey, trust your own process. If you start to find yourself getting a bit shaken, lost on your journey, I actually have an amazing freebie called Becoming You. It's your awakening survival guide. So you can download that in the link in the description. But find practices that help you come back to yourself. Just help you feel grounded, help you feel supported. Find people who are going through a similar journey to you. Remember, it's not about bypassing being human, it's about learning how to be human more, and who, that one thing that we all have in common is our connection to source. So yeah, I hope that this has helped you understand a bit of the awakening process, understand maybe where you are. I hope you take a lot of value from the free guide, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these videos. Have a beautiful day.